Hey, we're on a Wednesday today, which I thought was Thursday, but it's Wednesday. And that's because it's Christmas on Monday next week.
Which I must admit I put in the signal wrongly to the group saying, it's Boxing Day on Monday. So we're all over the place, aren't we? We've been hard.
We are.
But exciting news.
I've got some really exciting news. Thank you to everyone that has purchased my book. I just went #1 on Amazon. Wow! I did still up around
Number one. That's and how long has it been out? Only 24 hours or so.
A day.
That is mad. So
hopefully once you get it, you like it and you leave me a good review, and then more people will like it and get to understand, how cryptocurrency and compound trading works and how you can have financial freedom and the mindset, more importantly, behind doing that.
Yeah, you spent a good year on this. I mean, trying to encapsulate all your years, and there are some bits I can't believe you put in some of your trade secrets, like the Lisa Narchi.
I put in Lisa Narchi. So once you get through there, you'll get a whole big breakdown on how Lisa Narchi works, and I've not ever revealed that before.
Very exciting. Okay, well, as it's our last wrap up before Christmas, we're just going to stay live to the world throughout this. So we've got Twitter and X, as well as our lovely group Getting Started in Crypto joining us. Getting Started in Crypto members, you can ask questions or chat in the chat. Far away, you know what to do. Everyone else, watch along and enjoy. Should we get stuck into it?
Yeah, so if you are on X or YouTube, you can ask questions. Josh will keep an eye on those. So
all right, let's do that.
I think, do they come up in the chat here so we can have a look?
YouTube will. X, I'll have to go on to yours. So anyone watching from X, jump on. You'll just comment below and I'll keep my eye on them.
Awesome. So we'll jump away from this screen, but if you are on X or on Instagram, there's links everywhere. I've been all excited about this releasing, so click on the link. There's a Kindle book, and you can get a paperback, and it's available all around the world. There's a different link for the Australian and Japanese books, and it's going to be available globally in bookstores in about 2 days, I think. So that's the last bit of it. And then you can get it everywhere, basically. So very, very excited.
Very exciting.
I'll get to Bitcoin now because that's why you guys are here, not to listen to me being so excited.
All right, let's take a look.
Cool. Let's jump straight into Bitcoin. So this is the monthly chart, so it looks a bit sort of wicky at the moment. I still truly believe we're going to push up to those near 50K regions, hopefully by the end of the year. So there's a huge, ginormous, massive futures release happening at the end of the year, just before New Year's. So hopefully that will push this chart up to that 50K and beyond. So that would be a really exciting way to end out 2023 with 50K Bitcoin. And I reckon that might make the news. So that might see that push a little bit higher. So when we jump into the immediate waves, potentially we could go sideways. A lot of these patterns, especially on the alts, we're getting to this sort of last wave down, and then we're just breaking out. We're not even completing A, B, C, D, E's. They're like, that's such a bear wave pattern. We're just going to go up. So especially like charts like INJ, where we just see that sort of, going up and up and up. Solana did that. AVAX is doing that. So, perhaps Bitcoin will follow in that suit and do that as well. This is the longer sort of trade. The ABCD may not happen. When we go to the breakdown of the small waves, we can see that maybe we might just get a C wave and then continue up. this wave pattern, if I zoom right in, we could truncate at this range here and then just go straight up. So there's heaps of different patterns. Now, this is a fourth wave correction. So a fourth wave correction can go so many different ways. And it's just a matter of like measuring those waves and working out where we are in the pattern. Because we did break sort of this range yesterday, we going up for that B wave. So I think we're in a sub wave B. So ignore this wave here. That is still a possibility though. So if we go to grab an ABC, if I can see that, potentially we are looking at an A. It doesn't want to add on there. A. Not going on. Hang on, let me just refresh this chart. See if it wants to add. Okay. Now it's added everything. Okay, let's zoom in. Take some of this stuff off that it's just added. So potentially it could be an ABC. We're going up for the C wave, and we're in like the minor sub waves of that wave. We can see that we've broken that previous high. So likely this is that B wave. It could mean that this wave is a sub wave and it's truncated, and that just goes straight up, like, you know, once this wave is finished. I do think this sort of momentum here is going to be fairly quick for a fourth wave. We have, because it is a fourth wave of a third wave, third waves in Elliott wave move the fastest and the swiftest. So that means they're quite a quick wave to finish. They're usually the longest wave as well. So for that to be the longest wave, we're going to go up around that 50K mark. If it doesn't breach those ranges, we're going to get a truncated fifth, which means we're going to have a short fifth wave and then we're going to pull back. Not Capo style, but I did see that Capo did update his patterns, and he's got something like a 50K pattern, and then he has got a wave down to 30K. That I do believe is possible. So while I don't agree with that at the moment, you know, an ETF delay in January could cause that. So, you know, there's various different ways that pattern does play out. It's not my primary at the moment, but that can change. So just be aware. That's why we always have stop losses. If we're wrong, there's a stop loss in place, and that protects our capital. So the major thing in trading is to protect your capital and to keep that working for you. So always have a stop loss and don't over leverage if you must use margin and leverage trading. So that's my rant for the day about that. But you'll hear that often if you're in my group as well, getting started in crypto. So yeah, so that's kind of what I think is happening with BTC. And, you know, the short term of it, I think we've still got a wave up to finish this 3. And depending on where that finishes, then we can gauge what we're doing with the overall sort of pullback and movement up for that fifth wave.
Okay, nice. Comments are flowing in. That's great. Everybody on YouTube in the group and on X, keep those comments coming in. We will look at some charts as well shortly. Anything else you wanted to just go over there?
Yeah, so let's jump into hang on to this is the accumulation chart, Wyckoff accumulation chart. So we can see that we're getting quite a nice retrace and retest of that previous breakout region. So that's a really strong sign that this pattern is still in play, and we haven't broken down. We haven't, you know, gone down to those lower areas. So this is still, in my opinion, going up. So, you know, once we sort of hit that 40K mark, potentially that could happen. Now, this pattern here, which is, you know, very, very sort of even in this range, that's usually called what we call railway tracks. So they form and they're quite a bullish pattern. So it can have one last wave that retests down and then that will wick up very quickly. So just be aware of that if you are leverage trading. So that range is 40K on that breakout zone. So that's a psychological number as well. So psychological numbers are often retested. So it may not happen. You know, the whales may just want you to think that's happening. So you sell up here and, you know, you're waiting down lower and they're like, oh, you're going to have to buy higher now. We've pushed it to 47 or something. So, and, you know, then you panic and you've got less BTC. So that's potential, but this is looking really strong at the moment. So if you are in it and you're in a longer term trade, then, you know, that's potentially what's happening. I think we're coming up to a choppy area. This is the USDT dominance chart, and we're almost at a support region. So that is probably going to bounce away sideways. That's why potentially I'm seeing that sideways movement in Bitcoin. So, but that will all depend on what the Bitcoin dominance chart does. So if Bitcoin dominance goes up, then Bitcoin can go up and alts are going to bleed. So just be aware of that. Watch the BTCD chart, because when that starts rising, that does mean money is coming out of somewhere, unless, you know, the total chart is going up as well. So this is the total chart. So if this starts like absolutely pumping, then Bitcoin's likely absolutely pumping. So the total 2, which is total crypto market cap without Bitcoin, is sitting sort of, you know, sideways as well. So we're just kind of waiting. But because we're sort of at a resistance at this chart, if we do get a pullback on this, Bitcoin is going to go up. So be aware of that. So charts to watch at the moment are the total 2 and the BTCD dominance chart. So they're the 2 charts that I would be watching, just to see the overall momentum of the market and what Bitcoin's doing, because Bitcoin does control the market still. When it moves, the alts do often bleed. So just be aware.
Okay, cool. Did you want to take a look at Ethereum as well?
I will.
Will we do anything else? Have you got that chart up?
Yeah. So Ethereum is, I've got about 5 million alerts on this chart right at this point of time, just to keep an eye on where it is and where the break zones are. Because if this is a wave 4 of this structure, so we can see we've got 1 wave here, a 2 down, a 3, and this is a 4. We need to really hold this region and then, you know, continue up. So the ETH BTC chart is looking really interesting as well. So let me bring that up to show you all, because that's an interesting chart to watch when we're watching dominance levels as well. Because we can sort of gauge where we are with Bitcoin and Ethereum, like in that sort of same place that we're looking at when we're looking at the USDT dominance chart as well. So ETH here is very, very close to this channel that it's been in for such a long time. So it's been sitting on this median line down below, then we came up above the median line. We're now filling out that whole entire channel, and you can see this range has just a little bit to go. So if we do get that last pump in BTC, I'm sure ETH is going to just drop to the bottom of that channel, and then it's absolutely going to go crazy. So this is where we're going to see those upper levels on ETH. So that's what you want to watch. These seesaw effects between these charts. You want to be watching certain dominance charts. You want to be watching, the alter egos of each coin. So ETH and BTC, when they're compared to each other, move in a seesaw effect. So this has such a little bit of room to go to that resistance, support, and then it should break out. I don't think it's going to break down. It's at such a point that, this is going to be explosive for Ethereum. So whether we've got some new news coming or some sort of development, who knows, ETF gets approved on Ethereum before it does Bitcoin, maybe both explode at the same time. But we do have that little bit of room. So 0.047 on ETH is probably the range that you want to be, stacking up on that BTC pair.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Where would you like to go next? We've got a few charts we can take a look at, unless there's anything else you wanted to.
Yeah, let's have a look at some charts, some alts.
Oh, right. First up is Matic. And we'll
Matic.
have a look at that one.
So Matic has been in such a weird, so this is Rune at the moment, but Rune is looking quite nice today. So let's look at Matic. So the thing that we've been worried about is this, what looks like, a big McDonald's sign, the double top. It didn't quite double top. So that's, something that we need to watch. But more so, we've got a cup and a handle that's forming, as long as we can hold that range down in this region. So what happens with a cup and handle is predominantly it is to do with a parabolic move. So the next move is quite parabolic if it holds those regions. So how a parabola works, let's just get that on my chart. So that's our curve. So it's our trading curve. So we can see that when we put the parabola on this region, let's just get that, potentially we are going to start flying up here. We're almost down. When we look at the curve here, we've got quite a nice curve. And we've got, when we look at it, we've potentially got an inverse head and shoulders as well as the cup and the handle. So that inverse head and shoulders, if we look at that pattern, is here, here, here. It's not very pointy, so it's more of a cup. But, potentially if we can hit this target here, which is just a double top of this range here, 98. So retesting that region will likely confirm this inverse head and shoulders or the cup and handle, or however you want to look at it. And the way that is measured is we take the top of that resistance there, we look to the bottom of that pattern, and then we just simply move it to that range. And a lot of traders trade these patterns. It's not going to break the previous high, but it's looking pretty good at 1.45, provided we hold this region here. So we don't want that to break down too drastically. When we do look at this 4-hour chart, we're quite low on the RSI. And when we go to the daily chart, we've still got a little bit of room to go. So whether we get a bit of a bounce here, that would be potentially a good thing to have a bounce in this region, and potentially a ABCDE pattern. So I'll draw what that looks like for you when I can find that one. So potentially we've got an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. So that would be the most likely pattern that we'd like to see here. And that will fill out this region here on the daily RSI. So it looks like we would get a reprieve on the MACD if this starts to move up. So watch that this starts to go to that the lighter colors. So if you've got just the general MACD from TradingView, put it on like this. This is unchanged. I haven't changed any of it. It will show you when the sell pressure and the buy pressure is changing momentum. So it is a lagging indicator, but you can get that sort of information from that within that MACD. So you can see that you need to be watching to see when this one goes to the lighter orange. You can change it any color you want. And when it starts to flip over, obviously Matic's going to be a lot more bullish, but we want it to hold around this region, ideally in that extended correction, and then to take off. But a lot of patterns have just been doing the ABC and then taking off. Either is okay.
Cool. Just before we jump to another one, I've just had a notification on the app, the Getting Started in Crypto app, that SUI has hit target 4 Shall we go and take a look at that and see what's happening as we are streaming to the whole world? And anyone out there who isn't in the group just yet, you can have a sneaky peek at one of our signals. I'm not sure how many targets Sui has.
It's got quite a few actually. So if we're at target 4, we've got 5, 6, 7 targets. In a bullish market, they'll normally have about 7 or 8 targets. And, you know, you can pick and choose where you sell, whether you rebuy, that sort of thing. If you're on the Lisa bot trading bot, then obviously you can choose all the different strategies that we've got in there as well. So there's about 4 or 5 different strategies of where you can sell, taking 50% profit as it hits each target is a popular one. And so it would continue up. So this is sort of crawling sideways in that pattern, and we've just seen that sort of that wave down and the explosive pattern up. So potentially this is what we want Matic to be doing. So this is looking really good.
So what's the percentage gain on that target for everyone in our group?
52% on target 4.
52%. Excellent. Cool.
Yeah, and it would have been probably about a month in that signal for anyone who got into it. That's probably one of the slower signals. Some do move faster than that. A lot of them we do are swing trades because we are in spot. We're not a margin trading group. So, yeah.
Okay, nice. Well, 50% is nothing to sniff at. So, excellent. Moving on. Mohammed's got a question here from YouTube. Is there anyone who's using TTM strategy in GSIC or
there
GSIC?
is. So we've got a TTM strategy group as well, where they get one signal at a time. And, you know, it works on the compound trading strategy that we have developed. So 1000tomillions.com will tell you all about it. And it will give you all the links if you want to sign up and do that with us. So, yeah, it's pretty good. We're still working through the glitches at the moment in a few of the bots and just tightening those up. And obviously this market's been a bit choppy. So we're working with that and available liquidity and looking for stronger coins at the moment.
We had someone a while back, just a couple of weeks back, said they made their year's subscription in one trade. So I can't remember which trade that was. Was it?
I can't remember. Was it Luna? I don't know.
There's been so many. Yeah, so that is crazy good. A great start for that person in TTM. So yeah, okay, cool. Let's have a look. Let me just take a peek at Twitter. Myro, MYRO. Is that a fairly new coin? I can't remember. Are we having a look?
Oh, am I looking at Twitter? What am I looking at?
No, Myro. MYRO.
Oh, the coin. What am I looking at?
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like that's quite a new coin. Is it a meme coin as well? I'm not sure. Let's go and see if we can find the chart for Myro.
I don't know if I've ever charted that one before. Let's have a look. No, let's build a new chart. So this is FET as well. So this is one that I was waiting on a signal way down here. And FET decided it was just doing this really quick correction and heading straight up. So this is what I was talking about with Bitcoin. It might just be this really quick correction. And then with the end of year release of the futures, it may just go straight up like that. So just be aware. If you're shorting, I wouldn't be shorting in this section. That's just a word of advice. So for when we go into bull market, shorting is really quite dangerous. So if you like money, that is. Okay, so Myro, let me build a chart.
And if anyone else wants their coin charted or had a look at, jump into YouTube, Twitter, or in our group as well, jump into the chat and just let us know, put the ticker in there, and we will try and get around to as many as we can.
Oh, this is a really, 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 really new one by the looks of it. So we don't have a lot of data on this chart, which does make it very hard to chart. So what we can work off is sort of available supports and resistances and see if they are just sort of playing out. We can see that we've started to move up rather than down. It's not coming down, although this wave could come down and breach that region. The RSI is still showing bearish divergence on this 4-hour chart. So if we go down right down to the lower charts, we can get a better idea of what is happening. We've still got bearish divergence on this chart. So for those that have TradingView, this is called the divergence indicator. So it's a really, really good one for beginners, where you can see where the bull and bullish divergence, bearish divergence. You can add hidden bullish divergence and hidden bearish divergence on that chart as well if you want to. So that's one to look at. So we would go and refer. We can see that we've rejected these MAs. So I use MAs a lot for strength and resistance because they give it a defined sort of resistance and support at times, to know where we are in a pattern. So especially for these early coins. And we can see the MACD on this low 15-minute chart is still very much turned down. So I'm going to just hang on. See if it's not going to open up for me now. Okay. So we can see that we've got bearish divergence. We're coming down to this point where potentially that could be a reversal. So you can see that you can get a support and a resistance as well on an RSI as you can on a chart. So we've had 2 support touches. Potentially there's one wave down to go, and that should get a bounce. If it breaks below that point, it's going to go down quite hard and then wick quite hard. So that's usually what happens in these new coins. So going back to the chart, we can see we're still bleeding. So putting some support and resistance lines on this chart so we can get a better idea where we are. So overall, maybe. All right, so I'm going to just check how far up we went on this chart. Then I can get a better breakdown of where we're going when we come back down. So the way Lisa Nargi works is it's a wave projection theory. So, and it can give you targets for the upper targets when they do come along. And then it can give you retrace targets as well that work in with Elliott wave. So we can see that that did a nice one-to-one pattern, which is quite good. So now we want to break down. So when we put down the final waves, when we retrace, so we have got 5 waves in that pattern up. So I can count 5 clear waves. So that does mean that it's in a full retrace. And looking at this pattern, we can see we don't have enough details to get a pattern memory. A lot of charts will work to a certain Fibonacci level when they have been around for a long time because the same traders trade them and they determine a pattern memory on their charts. So currently it's pulled back to 0.88, which is kind of a middle fib level. It's not a well-used one. A lot of crypto will pull back to that range, to the sort of 0.9 range. So I'd say potentially it's still going there. It doesn't look like it's got enough waves in that count as yet. So if that's an A, so that still continues down to that point. So it's quite a choppy sort of broken up wave. And if that's a ABC, it could be a running flat or an expanded flat reversed. So potentially I would say, or it's a WXY. So it's quite a complex pattern on that, and I don't think it is going up as yet. So I think it's still coming down. So the interesting point to see it test would be around the 0.16 mark, and to see if it can get a bounce off that. If it can't bounce off that range, it's probably going to break down to that bottom line there. So if we get a new trend line coming at this range, we can see that that does sort of correspond with that red line that I've just put on there. So that's around that 0.016 to 0.0165 is a possible buy zone for that for Miro. But it's a really high risk entry. So when you're looking at coins and tokens that have just listed, you want to be just sort of building bags for long-term trades, because they're not going to have a formed pattern yet.
Okay, cool. There's some awesome analysis. One comment there from YouTube, which is good to hear. And take a look at this comment as well. Looking forward to my book arriving Jan the 5th. Whoa. How exciting.
I haven't even got any copies yet, so it's listed. I think I'm going to get my copies tomorrow, so I'm really excited. And I do have some copies to give away.
Oh, exciting. Okay, up next, we would like to have a look at Floki.
Yeah, Floki, I have just looked at inside the group. So for somebody else, I think it was one of our members, David. So let's bring that up. So it's got a really interesting channel that has formed on Floki. So, and it has touched a number of times down to this channel bottom. So this, if it doesn't touch here, we've got a truncated wave. If it does touch, it's going to be coming back down to lots of zeros, 331. We want to watch if it can break these MAs. So if it can break these MAs, and potentially it's going to go higher, but they are looking quite sort of turned down at this point. So what we want to do is we want to zoom right back to the 15-minute chart and see if we've got any sort of momentum sort of moving upwards, to see sort of what direction we're going to have sort of in the short to longer term. We can see that we've got a fairly sideways pattern, not a lot of sort of momentum happening on the MACD. So it's just sort of small movements with larger movements. We can see the EMAs are showing that we do have some volatility in this chart, but with the MAs, there's not a lot of money coming and entering in this chart. It's sort of like the same traders trading in and out. We've got bearish divergence on those lower time frames. When we go right back, I normally don't go to a 5-minute, but I just want to see where this is going. So we have got the MAs sitting underneath at the moment. So when they're sitting underneath, it does normally mean that it's, you know, quite sideways. So when we're on these lower sort of really low charts, we want the MAs to be above, because then we've got room to move up. When we're getting super bullish, obviously the MAs are sitting quite low, but when we're in these ranges here, we want them to be above so that we can reach those targets. This is sort of all mushed up in together, which means it's quite a complex chart to trade, because it's going to be quite choppy, especially for leverage traders. They're just chopping you up at the moment. So when we go up to a 4-hour chart on Floki, we've got those MAs above. So that's a good sign that on the short term, we're probably just going to hover around this region here. We're going to complete that pattern. And if we can get some momentum happening in this region here, then we're going to head up to retest that 3.8, lots of zeros, 3.8 range. So it's going to be one to watch. I don't think it's quite finished its pattern yet. This in this range looks to have, you know, one more wave here at least to complete that pattern. So if we were going on a Elliott wave 5 wave pattern, that's potentially maybe only one wave. We've got the 2 coming up, maybe a 3, a 4, and a 5. So what that potentially looks like, because this doesn't look bullish at all, is this last wave coming up and potentially breaking down and coming back down and testing that support on that wave. Once that happens, it does have a complete wave pattern as long as it doesn't break down in this region, and it should see a bounce at that point. So it could truncate as well and sit above and hold that and do something like that. So that's another pattern, and it could be what is known as an ending diagonal in Elliott Wave. So that ending diagonal would fill out that sort of triangle there and then continue up. So that's where we get that breakout of those diagonals. And, that's a really good pattern to trade. If you can trade a breakout pattern of an ending or the reverse, when you're trading a short, you want to get a diagonal pattern that's going to break down. So, so that's potentially the patterns that could happen on Floki.
Wow, that was in depth. Okay, we got a few more, so let's fly through these.
Cool. I'll try and be quicker.
Bonk.
Is Bonk done? Now, Bonk, because it's listed on a few big exchanges, is going to have a corrective phase. I can tell you that without, because there's a lot of people that have been in that, coin since the last market. So you want to just be careful that there's not a lot of sell-offs happening at the moment, because they have listed on big exchanges. There's a lot of liquidity because it has been so bullish. You might be buying somebody else's sales. So just be aware of that. It's had some huge momentum. The hourly chart looks like it's almost about to turn down on the MAs. We don't want it to get across. But if it does, then it's going to go a bit deeper. So the 1 hour chart does have some bullish divergence. So something that we might like to see. Let's see if we can get a support region here and see where we're actually going. So potentially we could have an a larger pattern ABC forming. So ABC, this could be our A. We have enough waves that A is finished, coming up for a B, coming back down for a C, and that would finish that pattern. Essentially, because it is quite a bullish coin, it may just go up from there, but I don't think so, just due to the fact that there's, it has been around a little bit longer than some of these other coins, and there's going to be a lot of whales in it selling off. So as much as they tell you they're not selling, they will be. So because, if there's profit there, they know we're just coming out of a bear market. They'll sell it down and they'll buy back. So, and that will cause that waves to explode. So if we go to the MACD, have a quick look at what is happening. We're starting to tighten up, but the EMAs haven't turned as yet. They've had a couple of attempts. So what would be the thing to watch would be when these EMAs turn, especially on, if we drop it back to the 15-minute, we can start to see momentum changing, and it's just turned down again. So to me, that means we're still corrective in Bonk. So just be careful. Do watch those indicators and just to see where we're going. We have enough waves that it could go up, but I think it's going to be quite an extensive correction in that region before it does head up again. I could be wrong. It could just go straight up. That does happen sometimes. So if you're, a long-term new holder or a new holder to Bonk, long-term, I think this is going to be one of the coins that really shines throughout this next bull run. But at the moment, we do have those sell-offs happening.
Okay. Next up, ARK, A-R-K. Will ARK fly soon? And then a couple more, and we shall wrap it up for the day there.
Whoa, this is such an old chart. So This is one of my older charts. You can see they've obviously re-released this coin and it's still on this old chart. A lot of the tokens, like Beam, has come out and they're re-released with new updates and that sort of stuff. So this looks like one of those that has happened. When we look at this, there's a really interesting thing happening on this MACD that you really want to watch on a lot of coins. So we can see that we've got less sell pressure, and this is starting to change momentum. So this is what I mean when you see a momentum change on an indicator. So this is essentially buy and sell pressure. So, and this is changing, and we can see that the EMAs are crossing. So when they cross, that normally means that this flips to green, and that's when our momentum changes. So if we go back to the chart, we can see we've still got quite sort of sideways movement here. But when we go back down to the RSI, so I'm actually going to throw on, because I haven't used this chart for a while, divergence indicator, RSI divergence indicator. And so we can see it doesn't have enough information to give us on the daily what is happening. So if we drop that down, we might get some indication whether it's saying that we're bullish. We've got quite a bit of bullish divergence in this sideways momentum. So that's just building. So, and again, it's a very, very new chart. So it's hard to gauge exactly where it's going to be, but we can see that it's kind of sitting on the 618. So that's a good indicator. 618 is normally a really good zone for new charts because, you know, traders like it's called the golden zone. And it's normally where we do get momentum changes. So it does look like that is going to happen. So if I don't have any indicators, so I'm going to go to one of my other charts, one of my newer charts, this one, and I'm going to create an ARC chart with this layout on it. So make a copy, because the ARC is coming up on the older chart, which I haven't used that 6 and a bit years, and I haven't, some of those charts are so old, which means that ARC has, you know, existing people that have been trading this for quite some time. So, but they've obviously released a new token. So we can see when we've got some of the indicators on, EMAs are still turned down on that daily. But if we go down to this region, what we want to be watching is that momentum change on these indicators. So we do have these MAs sitting above. So that's a really good a sign that the momentum's changing. We've had enough pullback in this region that it's got enough velocity that people are going, okay, this is interesting now. And you can see that the EMAs are starting to cross. So if you head to YouTube, I've got an EMA and MA scalping strategy, which would work on charts like this. So basically on the 15-minute chart, drop it right back. When we get that momentum change, we can see that when it crosses at this point, we know that it's going to test those MAs. So if we take it from that point, we know that we're getting 1%. So it's not a huge move. Sometimes there's a lot more distance between that. So if we go up through the ranges to see where those are sitting, we know that we're going to get a larger move. So we are going to see probably a 3 to 4% move there, and an 8% move there. So, and if we can cross those MAs at that point, it doesn't sound much when, you know, these charts are sort of moving so slow. That's when we start to gain momentum, and that's where this changes from bearish to bullish, and that's where you get those on the charts. So that's essentially what you want to be watching for. Just indicators and momentum changes. You don't need to know all the Elliott wave stuff that I know. You just need to know how the indicators work and the basics.
Okay, and let's got a couple more to wrap it up with. ZIL and gas. Again, I think they are they're not ones we
And
often look
gas.
at. ZIL, ZIL, and gas, GAS. And then we'll wrap it up there.
So ZIL is actually a signal within the group. So we can see that it's climbing up nicely onto this support. It's got one wave. This is our 2-wave, 3-wave, 4-wave. There's a missing wave here. So there's 1, 2, 3. This is our 4. We're waiting on a 5th wave in this pattern, and potentially that should take off. So it's looking nice, like it's going to start moving soon.
Ooh,
and what was the last one? Gas.
Yeah, gas, GAS.
Yeah, gas was one that we had a signal and it decided it didn't like my signal and it continued down. So that's why you have a stop loss. It went straight down in that region. So if we do a wave count here and just see where this is going, it does look very much so like it's an ending diagonal. If we exclude that wick, it's definitely an ending diagonal. So this is what is known as low liquidity, when it just keeps searching and searching. So you get that slippage. So potentially excluding that wick, we can see that we've got an ending diagonal. It looks like we might get one more retest. There's not enough waves here. That last retest is about 6.3, and then that should take off. So if you're looking at gas, that's a nice sort of reverse flag, so to speak, where you can take a measurement from this region and then know how far essentially it's going to travel. So potentially if we take that down there, it's not going to break the high, but it will go at some point up to about 29. Short term, if you take the measurement on a wedge, it does, the breakout gives you the same. So we can see that we're going to about 55% once that breaks out from the bottom. Providing it breaks out, providing it follows pattern, could change and just decide I'm going down. But looking at the indicators, it does look like it's going to break out soon.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, let's wrap it up. Lovin's got a great question here, because I know this is something you did last year. Are we doing any tokens during Chinese New Year? So 2024, I believe, is the year of the dragon, and February the 10th. So yeah.
Well, so ironically, BSV is the dragon. I do know that one. There was probably, dragon coins and that sort of thing. I do believe in those scenarios, they are ones that you need to be stocking up on those pullbacks. So anything that is a dragon, it's going to explode at that point and be, especially probably about a week before the new year, the Chinese New Year happens, or the Lunar New Year.
Yeah.
So Lunar is another one, because it's a Lunar New Year. Lunar often likes to pump at those stages, especially when it's so low at the moment after what happened, previous years. That could be something to watch as well. So Lunar is one that I'd be stocking up on for that period, and anything with a dragon or a dragon symbol, and that's kind of what you look for.
I seem to recall you having about 4 maybe random rabbit coins back in February this year, all of which pumping in random directions. So yeah, that was a fascinating.
I did. And the year before that, I think, was the Ox. So I had all the, Ox, which was ZIL and that sort of thing. Yeah. So all of those sort of coins, ZRX is Ox. So they will it's something that I've been doing for years, and it does. It's just a strange phenomenon that happens in crypto. Especially watch out when there's something mentioned in the news, like UFOs or something like that. There was one that pumped that was UFO coin. And if you see something trending on Twitter enough, often that will lead to it pumping as well. So another one is Cock Inu. I quite like that because it's got a little bit of innuendo in it. You know how I like, 1 inch and hard and those sort of coins. So Cock Inu is my new favorite to do that sort of stuff with you. So that one has really been moving. It's getting lots of listings. So keep an eye on that one as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's wrap it up there then. Just for anyone watching who is not yet in the group, I've sent you the link on Telegram there, Lisa. Just to lock in your subscriptions now, just before January the 1st, we are raising the prices of some of our subscriptions. If you're already an existing member, don't worry. So long as you don't unsubscribe, you'll get the old rates. But 11 days till the end of the year. Is that it? Oh my
That's
gosh.
crazy. This year has absolutely flown. So, for a bear market, we have just done so much work this year, and we've just been building. So I'm excited for 2024 and everything that we're bringing you guys. And, and the other exciting thing is the Moon Mag may be in print very, very, very soon.
Absolutely.
So you'll be able to go to your local newsagent or store and grab that, and that's really exciting as well. So it's been web for 2 years, and we've been, making that and bringing it to you guys with all the best coins and all the best new stuff that's happening. And it's so exciting that potentially might be happening in 2024.
Definitely. Yeah. So working hard. We have put the link in the YouTube chat, and it will be, you'll see it everywhere. If you want to lock in your prices there. Otherwise, I think that's everything. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. This is a real sneak peek for those of us who aren't in the group into one of our weekly wrap-ups, since we've been live throughout.
Normally we just give Bitcoin on Twitter or X and YouTube, but we decided we're going to give you the whole show, let you know how it's all broken down, how people can request their charts and that sort of thing. So hopefully everyone enjoyed it, and that's how it works. And I kind of break it down so you can see how I trade, how my brain sort of works a little bit when I am trading. And if you want to know more about how that works, get my book.
Last minute quick shill Christmas present. You can get it on Kindle now.
New Year's resolution. So become a millionaire in a year. This is a New Year's resolution to give my trading theories a test that I've got in there. I've got a couple in there, and
All right.
Thank you everyone that has bought it so far.
Your shilling time is up. Okay. Have a great Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you're doing. And we'll see you guys hopefully before the new year, but if not, in 2024. And let's have a great year in crypto.
Cool. Thanks for watching, everyone.
See you soon.